And hello there, it is Friday, and that means it is time for our Lunch and Learn. Now, I am your host, Dr. Polly Heil-Mealey, with Abundant Health and Wellness, and I am sitting on this side of the table today because I am going to walk you through what an appointment looks like, and I'll tell you how I had this idea. I had a client of mine. She has been working with me for several years, and she called me last week and she says, well, I'm really kind of confused and frustrated. That's probably aren't her exact words, but I don't understand why you do things differently than another iridologist. Well, and that's a good point. Every iridologist is going to do it differently. I have more tools in the toolbox than just iridology. I do look at your eye the first time I see you because I want to see what your DNA tells me about you. And then I'm going to want to look at the other tools that we have so that I can show you exactly what your body's telling me so that we can move forward. So I just want to tell you today what iridology can and cannot do. So I'm going to back out of the screenshot and I'm going to focus on my camera, and you're going to hear me, but you're not going to see me, which I'm sure is going to be just fine because this is all about helping you get well. So one of the criticisms, I'm saying this very gently, one of the criticisms was that I don't take pictures of your eye every time like the other iridologists do. And that's true, I don't. And why is that? Because the eye does not change that much. And it takes about a year to see any definitive change at all. On my other tools, I'll see a change every 30 to 45 days, and so that's why I do that. But let me turn the screen and let me walk through some things with you so you can kind of follow this, okay? So I'm turning the screen. Let me see here. I know it's a little bit wobbly, so sorry. How does that look? Let me come over and look and see, and perfect. Okay, good. So here we have a picture here. This is the iridology chart that I use. It just has the right eye, and it's probably reversed for you, which I hate that, but that's the way it is. So these are, I'm gonna move my cursor over here so you can see. This is the pupil of the eye. This is the stomach area. Okay, so in a blue eye, this should be the prettiest blue that you will see in the picture. Here, this jagged area here is the bowel. Okay, it goes all the way around. You've got the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and then the small intestine. This is the descending colon, right? So you've got that. From this jagged line here, you've got blood supply and nerve supply to all the other organs in the body. Now, this particular chart is color-coded. I like it. It is just easy for me to work with. And I'll just tell you, when I first started out, I made a transparency of this iris photo, and then I would superimpose it. I would lay it on the iris picture to help me figure out what part was what part. Now, this is not changing. Every eye is different, so you've got to have a little bit of gray area there. You've got to be able to be a little bit flexible there because you're not going to have it to be exactly. But when you're first starting, when you're first learning how to do this, this is a way to do that. So this is the eye, okay? So if I come over here, this is the pupil. These lights right here are just reflections in what we see on the from the camera, from the lights from the camera. So don't worry about these. This is the bowel, this jagged area here. This is the bowel. This center circle here is the stomach area. Now you can see that this is a blue eye. There's a lot of plaquing. There's a lot of issue over the eye. So there's a lot of inflammation. All of this will change, or it should change. This should get thinner. This should maybe even go away. But it's going to take about a year of good, consistent protocols for that to happen. What will not change are this little marker, this little marker, the way this is coming in. This edge is called a scarf rim. That means this person is not detoxifying from the skin, probably not sweating a lot. So you're not going to see a big difference. This line where the bowel is, pretty balanced, so that's a good thing, but it should not be this dark. Like I say, this should be the prettiest blue of the eye. And so this shows me, like this marking right here, if you'll look right here and then you look over here, this is testicles and ovaries. So if it was a girl, I would ask about, well, you're talking about family history. You're not really talking about what's going on in this particular eye. What you're talking about is what's going on in this family, and it's generational, which means it's parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. So this is what the DNA is about. So this eye is not going to change all that much. The color could change as far as this plaquing or this. It looks like, if you look at the eye, it looks like you've got all these layers. If you're a painter, if you're an artist, you can see that maybe they did some watercolor and they just brushed it over and over the iris, which is really what happens when the body lays down pigment. What might change quicker is these kind of markers over here. Okay, do you see this like yellow part over here? This is indicative that his gallbladder's not working very well. And so I asked him about gallbladder health, and he said, well, I had my gallbladder removed because it was very infected and very atrophied. So because there is no gallbladder, the bile does not build up sufficiently in the system to metabolize the fat. So you've got fat that lays down in the iris, or sorry, in the sclera. The white part of the eye is called the sclera, and that's what this particular marking is. Now, will this change? Yes, this could change because this is person specific. It's happening to the individual that's sitting in front of me. Now, he has no gallbladder, so this is only going to change if he takes some proteolytic enzymes and takes some bile salt or some enzymes with bile salt that will emulsify the fat. Otherwise, this is just going to get darker and darker and darker. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of what the iris can tell you. And if I looked at this iris in 30 days, it would tell me the same thing. It would tell me you need to work. This is here in the esophageal area. This is more in the thyroid. This over here is more in the pancreas, and this person happens to be diabetic. So your eye tells me what to look for, and those are family traits. Now, I would not know by looking at this sign that this person had diabetes. All I can tell is that there are pancreatic issues in the family. It's only when I look at the person and I do the evaluation or I look at the blood work that I can tell exactly what's going on in that person. So, wanted to show you a different tool. We're going to show you this page, but I'm going to show you this page, okay? So, what we have here, these are the different organ meridians. I'm going to change the screen so you can see it a little bit. These are the different organ meridians, and all of these little buttons should be green. And you can see that they're not green. Now, what you want to see here is this gray line is where we were before. This line is where we are today, okay? So we do a comparison so that you can see moving forward how well your protocol is working. What this does is I am going to change screens so that you can get a little bit better picture here. These are the different meridians that we test, okay? And the ones that are green are the ones that we test. And we do your right hand, we do your right foot, and we do the big toe of your left foot. So we do quite a few points. And then this little line right here tells me where we are as far as where we are on the scale. We want to be right in this area, which is right about 50. The software is calibrated so that when you are at 50, things are working the way they need to in most cases. So we do this evaluation or a HRV evaluation every time you come in. Why? Because in real time, it can tell me how well the previous protocol was working. All right, I don't know that I'm able to see all of the questions, so I'll have to respond to those as we move forward. But I'm hoping that we can do a little bit better here. So one of the things I want to show you here. This is called a item protocol. So this can see if bacteria, heavy metals, miasms, electromagnetic frequencies, or parasites. Way over on the other side is viral loads. We can check on the body and see what critter is causing the problem. So if we go back to this eye, and I want to see why there's inflammation right here. See how white that is? That is a lot of inflammation. If I want to find out exactly what that inflammation is, then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to test. Well, let me go back. Let me go to a different page just so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to a different page. Say I want to see if it is a bacteria or if it is a fungus or if it is a virus load, okay? So I would come over here to this. You can't see on my screen, but I've got all of these trays here. So I'm going to say that this is a bacteria. I'm just going to say it's a bacteria. So you can see as I click on that, I have all of these bacteria to choose from, and I have 4 pages. Okay, I have 4 pages. So you can go through here, all of these different bacteria. Now, I'm doing it kind of fast, and I don't want you to read it because I don't want to spend time on you reading it. But what you need to understand is most people have no idea what these are, and what I'm looking for is a bacteria. I'm in bacteria. I'm looking for a bacteria signature that may be what this person is finding. And so when I click on one of these and I highlight it, I'm going to ask the body, is this, well, you can read it yourself, is this critter what we're dealing with? And if I'm in the range between 48 and 51, I'm going to know that this could possibly be an issue. And so I'm going to put it over in a tray, and then we're going to build a customized protocol in order for that to work. So I hope that makes sense. Looking at the eye, right, all I can see is that there is inflammation here, and I need to deal with it. Doing this scan, I can tell by looking at your point, whichever point is the one that is the most energy challenged. I can look at this and I can know that, okay, in this particular person, we've got this particular bacterium, and we need to do a customized protocol for that. I'm not able to do that with iridology alone. So let's just look at this page in a different way. In this particular person, okay, we have that there are sinus issues, there are parasite issues, the liver, the kidneys, right? Here, we've got these viral loads. There's a mononucleosis infection, there's a hepatitis B infection, and then there is a herpes simplex virus there. So what we can do is we have found this is what is bothering that person. These are the remedies that it's going to take in order to correct that. So when we come over here, the next time we would look at that, all we would see is that that particular point might have a little less plaquing on it, right? What we would see over here on the scans, right, is that you've got, let me see a good one down here. Well, I don't really have a good one on here. Okay, so the kidney, you would see that the kidney was purple and now it's gone to green. And that's what you want to see. Now, just because it's blue here and blue here, this blue one is actually a better reading if you're able to see everything and see the chart. And we look at everything in totality because you are a bioenergetic whole. You're not just a sinus. You're not just a kidney. You're not just a whatever little point is showing up here, okay? So if we bring up, we bring this up, right? This little point right here is right over here, okay? And it's in the shoulder area. And what the person did tell me yesterday is that he has bulging discs right in the shoulder and in the neck area. Well, not in the shoulder, obviously, but in the spine, right where the shoulders are. So that's what this inflammation is. So what is the problem? Well, we don't know by just looking at the iris of the eye. We don't know what the problem is. That's why I do the EAV evaluation, so it tells me what is the problem. We challenge that with the different remedies so we can make a really good recommendation. And normally, our normal turnaround time, people start feeling better within 48 hours. Now, is the issue resolved in 48 hours? No, the issue is not resolved in 48 hours, but the issue is much improved. So with all of this plaquing, okay, how thick it is. You can see how thick it is. What we're looking for is fibers, and you can see here, in fact, I'm just gonna make this bigger, right? Oh, that was really big. And I'm even gonna make it bigger, right? So that you can really see. So this little, you can see this is what we were talking about here. You can see this yellow plaquing here. That's from the gallbladder. I told you about that earlier. So what we can see is all these little bitty shapes. Now these shapes are not going to change. What is going to change is this like watercolor over it, right? But it's not going to tell me why and what. Okay, and I want to know the why and the what so that I can be better at getting a cure or a resolution of the issue. We're not supposed to say cure because we're not medical doctors. This is another scan that I use. This is the heart rate variability monitor. Now, this is the heart rate. This is like I'm going to say an EEG, EKG, I don't know. It's one of those where you're testing your heart. They have a different name up here because we're not medical doctors and we're supposed to use different names. But if you went into your doctor and you went into the cardiologist and they put a monitor on you to see your heartbeat, it would be exactly the same thing. And so what this shows is that I have a lot of variability because I have this wave-like motion here. Okay, and that's what we want. We want this wave-like motion. These particular little icons at the bottom, we want to see 80 to 100% down here because that shows that the body is working at optimal, and you can see that we have that here. What we are having here, these are different little screens that show how well the body is working. And so what I'm going to do when I look at this is I'm looking at all of your issues to see what might be happening. Now I'm going to change this screen because you can see it a little bit better. This is optimal. This is absolutely optimal. 96%, 90%, 96%, and 100%, right? Over here, you can see the pieces of the pie are much smaller. Over here, they're even much smaller. And then over here, they're almost non-existent. So here, here, and here. This is optimal. This is what we're wanting, right? So we can see the state of the person in real time right here, right now, what's happening. So based on, now this is not a good example to show you because everything is optimal, okay? Everything is optimal down here. So what this shows is that the protocol this person is on is working. All of the systems are working the way they need to, and so we can just kind of move forward on that. Here, we've got also the functional states over here, right here, okay? 95, 96, 90, 96, 100, okay? So we know, and this is a very high energy person, right? Energy stays high all throughout the day. Now, about 10 o'clock, it starts to go down. Many times what we see is people's energy is right down here, way, way low. And so you can see that this is absolutely working. However, as well as those numbers are, if you look at this particular screen, you can see, this is their traditional Chinese meridians, you can see that there are only two sectors that are green. We want all of these sectors to be green, but only two are. Why? Because we're human beings and we've got issues and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that we have, I'm going to change screens again, the fact that we have all of these markers being good, change the screen again, this is a little bit better. You have all these markers being good, then when you come over here and you see that we've got some energy that's not flowing properly, we've got some stagnation. I will tell you, we've got some stagnation in the gallbladder. This was taken in December. So there's some stagnation there. There's some deficiency in the heart, even though when you look over here, cardiovascular is at 100%. So this is encouraging because we are not machines. We are going to vacillate. We are going to go up and down. And so if everything is working with that rhythmic up and down on that heart monitor, you know, the body's able to compensate and the body's able to adapt to the different stressors, right? If you look over here, this is the more Ayurvedic, which is the old Indian. You can see that the stomach and the spleen, they're not sharing their energy. The lung and the liver, not sharing the energy. Kidney and bladder, not sharing the energy. Gallbladder and liver, not sharing the energy. This is what it should be. Everything is balanced. We've got some issues over here. But this particular person is able to compensate because they're doing so much for their body. So this is encouraging. This is very encouraging. Now, don't kind of wig out on me because it looks like you've got this New Age symbol here. What this is showing is the endocrine system. Now, the endocrine system are all of the glands that make the hormones, okay? So up here in the brain, you've got the pineal gland, your nervous system. This is where you make your melatonin. This is where you make your hormones. Here, this is your sinuses, your eyes, your hypothalamus. This one is the thyroid and the thymus, also teeth, your vocal cords, all that kind of stuff. This is the heart, circulation, thymus, lungs, that kind of thing. Yellow is the pancreas, the central nervous system, the liver, the spleen, and the digestive tract. Down here is the ovaries, testicles, kidney, bladder, and then down at the very bottom is your spine, your adrenal glands, prostate, right? Physical strength, it tells me if we've got constipation or whatever. All of these numbers are very, very high. I'm not sure that you can see everything, but 95, 80, 90, 95, 99, 87, and 99. So this, when we do this scan, this tells us how well the protocol is working. So that's what we want to do. So just to review, I love this technology. You can see this is the bacteria page. This is biological poisons from fish, from insects, from plants, or from reptiles, right? So you're not going to get this information when you're just looking at the iris of the eye. Here are fungal patterns, and we've got 2 pages of fungal patterns. Here's germ warfare. So if you were in Vietnam and you might be dealing with some fallout from Agent Orange or something like that, here are the parasites. We've got 3 pages of parasites. Now, some of these are worms, some of these are amoebas, some of these are protozoans, some of these are flukes, right? I don't know all of these names. And so what I do is I test for this and we see what comes up. Here are the vaccines. Right? And there's 2 pages of all the different vaccines that you could be having issues with. And then, this is probably my favorite one, we've got 9 pages of viral signatures in this particular tray. But then we've got common viruses, viruses that occur in animals, and rare viruses. So 5 pages of rare viruses. So I don't know all this information. You don't know all of this information. But when we go through and we ask the body, remember I showed you, I don't want to be here. Let me get out of here and show you something else. Remember I showed you that when we're on this page, right? I'm going to come back over here and even come back over here a little bit more. If I could go a little bit farther to the left, which I can't without messing everything up, you would see different viral signatures here. If this bacteria is what is coming up, I'm going to go to the bacteria tray. If it's heavy metals, I'm going to go to the heavy metal tray. If it's electromagnetic frequencies, I'm going to go to that. And what that will do is show me exactly the culprit that is causing this sign to come up in the iris. This sign or this sign, whichever sign I want to target, okay? So hopefully that gives you some understanding why I don't use solely iridology. I love iridology. I used to be the president of the, I'm going to turn it back so you can actually see my face. There you go. I used to be the president of the Iridology Practitioners Association. I definitely believe in iridology, but I want to look at the parameters that are happening right now in your body. I want to look at your genetic history. I want to see what that looks like at the beginning because it tells me, can I go fast? Can I go slow? What needs to happen in this particular section of DNA? But then when I look at either the avatar or I look at the HRV, it tells me what's happening in your body right at this moment. So we get a resolution within about 48 hours. Not necessarily a cure in 48 hours, but we get some resolution. When I'm just looking at the iris, what I'm going to be doing is subjectively saying, this looks like what is most important to me. This looks like something we need to work on. These are the herbs that I have that will work on that. Are you going to get some relief? Yes. Is it going to affect a cure? Maybe. I don't know because I don't know exactly what the challenges are. So hopefully that kind of demystifies why I don't use iridology all by itself. Believe in iridology, love iridology, use iridology for sure, but I also bring in other tools to help me get to the bottom. So if you have questions, go ahead and pop them in the box and I will get to that. I want you to have a great weekend. It's going to be really, really cold here in Texas, so bundle up and do what you need to do. And I will see you next week. Take care. Love you. Bye.